Here's a sneak peek from today's episode.
So you have to create a balance. Like, that's the number one thing. Can you create a partner newsletter for us? Sure, I'm happy to do that. But do you know how many partner newsletters are hitting that person's inbox every week? And do you know how quickly they are probably hitting delete? But if they get a personal message from their partner manager who they know and they have a relationship with, you're going to get more feedback. And as long as it's customized to them, it shouldn't be like, Expel announced we have this. Like, it needs to be, this is what should matter to you, and I want to make sure you have this. It needs to be a personalized approach. So I think it absolutely depends. If you're a giant company, you're probably not going to get as personalized, and that's just natural. It's probably a scheduled cadence. But I think that's the power to kind of vendors that are Expel size, is that we can have that personalized approach.
Welcome to the Content Amplified podcast, brought to you by Masset. Our goal is to help you get more from your marketing content. Each episode is a 10 to 15 minute interview with industry experts that share amazing insights to help you squeeze as much juice from your content as you possibly can. Here's today's interview.
Welcome back to another episode of Content Amplified. Today I'm joined by Caitlin. Caitlin, welcome to the show.
Hello, thanks for having me.
You bet. Caitlin, I'm excited for the conversation today. But before we dive in, let's get to know you, your work history, all that fun stuff.
Sure, I'll give you the 15-second version instead of 5 minutes. But nice to see everyone. Caitlin Waite, I'm the Director of Global Partner Marketing at Expel. We were talking before this, my path has not been direct. I've been in several different roles, but I started my career at Caresoft, a mainly public sector, but also commercial software distributor, and made my way to a company called CloudBees, led partner marketing there. Same thing at Lacework before coming to Expel. And I've gotten to kind of see every aspect of marketing in my time. I can absolutely thank Caresoft for that, and learning about more vendors than I could count and getting to apply that now about 15 years later. Don't count backwards and figure out my age from that. But I love doing what I do with partner marketing. So love to talk about it.
I love it. That's amazing. Caitlin, we ask every guest, what do you love about content and marketing?
I love that it's always going to be different, meaning depending on who you ask. If you ask someone in sales, or if you ask, and I should get more specific. If you ask someone on my Northeast sales team, they're going to say that the content they need is different than someone on my Southwest sales team. I love that it's different. It makes it a lot harder, but I love that you can create something and someone needs that content. And I love the connection between content and marketing, and what that can be so many different things. It can be something for someone on the sales team. It can be something for an end user. It can be something that someone comes across because they're like, what company is that again? So you can make a lot of different things equal content. It's not a white paper. It's not an ebook. It could be a postcard at an event. It could be the swag that you give out is content. It's so many things in so many different kind of categories.
I love that. That's awesome. Well, Caitlin, you have a lot of experience in a lot of different areas. So we kind of settled in on talking about how to make content relevant for partners.
Yes.
There's a lot that can go into this subjects. So, I think a lot of times marketers, it's terrible practice, but sometimes we just kind of give our own content to our partners and we hope they use it. Like what's actually like useful for partners to get from us when it comes to content?
So I'll tell you the ideal scenario and I'll tell you the reality scenario, because
I think that's fair.
What I would say is every partner marketing team I've ever encountered, and I'm not just speaking for myself, has been understaffed and doing the work of several people. So you kind of try to keep the lights on and stay relevant. So ideal scenario is, think of a big company and all the resources they have and how they can adapt what they have for their partners. That's really cool. Like if you can make, let's just say, an ebook on, I'm making this up and making it too general, but an ebook on cloud security, and you have it adaptable where that partner can add a paragraph about themselves, they can co-brand it, And if they're at a show, they can bring that and talk about you and how you have a benefit for those interested in cloud security. Again, oversimplifying, but you get it. That's really cool. Those of us with 1 or 3 people on our team probably don't have access to tools like that. So, if you have a partner portal, if you don't, figuring out what your capabilities are and then making the content that's relevant is the most important. So what I typically try to do, so this is the reality part, is making content that my sales team uses and finds relevant. So a quick sales guide, a cheat sheet, something that the kids these days might not remember, but I remember walking the cubicles and seeing what people had pinned up in their cubicles, and I think of it that way. I still think, what can I fit on a one-pager that they put in their cubicle if they had one? Maybe they'll put it in their desk, who knows, at home. But making sure you have that relevance, that can be a lot of different things. For me, and having to, do so many things at once, it's getting those quick wins with a sales guide, with things that we can give them that can be co-branded. Maybe they can't input an entire paragraph. Maybe it's not on an ebook because we can't tell their story connected to that, but it's something that they can do and they can reuse. Doesn't always mean they're going to use it. I've been on the other side. What we used were the tools that helped us sell versus some of the content of, end user facing. It is different based on your partners. It's different based on what you're selling. If it's really complex, you need to do a little bit more work. If it's simple and easy to understand, a little bit less. So ideal scenario is you make everything digestible by your partners, easy to use, and you have the sales mechanism. Reality is usually like you have to prioritize and you want to make effective sales tools and make everything else accessible to your partners. So
I love that. Very cool.
yeah.
And it sounds like there's this spectrum where you have this ideal, everything is completely customized almost for every single partner, automatically embedding their information, things like that. And then the good to have is the content that actually works, at least internally. And then you have the generic stuff that is not helpful, kind of on the worst end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
So no matter where you're at on this spectrum of creating content, you're sharing it with partners, feedback and data. How are you collecting those to make it a better experience, regardless of where you're starting today?
Yeah.
How do you actually improve and kind of have that feedback loop?
So I think it's really important, and not everyone has access to this, so grain of salt here, but again, we can talk ideal and we can talk reality. Ideal is you're doing things like partner advisory boards. You're connecting with the partners. You're finding out from your sales reps, from your partner managers. You're asking the question. You're measuring it with some sort of tooling. A lot of partner portals show you that data to an extent. Like they say, so-and-so clicked on this, or so-and-so downloaded this, or this asset has been downloaded 20 times versus one that's never been touched. But you need kind of that also qualitative, not just quantitative data. The reality that not all of us have a partner advisory board set up yet. For instance, our partner program is fairly new at Expel. When I say new, for most, I would say less than like 3 to 5 years old is new, because you're getting your bearings, you're figuring it out. But you can do things when you don't have a lot of resources or you aren't fully embedded with your partners that can get opinions. So, for example, I've done enablement sessions. We called them X marks the spot at Expel. And we would say, join, we'll go over this topic, but you can also ask us any questions you have. And honestly, it's not just about whatever topic we're going over. It's that we've created a conversation loop. So they know that crazy gal is always sending me this X marks the spot invite. And it's not some formal, like you have to register. It's a calendar file. I'm a real human. I talk like a real human on there. It's just like this. And so they can come to me with questions or, hey, like, do you have this in the portal? And I get those all the time. Hey, who's your rep for Central? Which rep covers this account? So if you have that built with your partner team and you're able to get that feedback, yes, data is very nice to have. If you don't have that, you've got to go boots on the ground asking. It's kind of just, I think the ideal scenario is both. And you can say, this has been downloaded a lot. Can you figure out why? Like, why does everyone like this? But if you can't see that, and I know not everyone can because not everyone even has a partner portal, then you've got to form really good relationships with your partners where they feel comfortable enough to provide that feedback to you. And that takes time.
Yeah, I love both ends of it, that you're really trying to foster an environment where you can have conversations, collect the qualitative feedback, but also can we get tooling and information about the quantitative frequency, things of that. I like the balance there. I think that makes a lot of sense. What about frequency? I know I'm giving you permission to say it depends because that's probably a big part of the answer. But what's kind of your cadence when it comes to creating new content, distributing it, collecting feedback? I think with partners, some people have this really good groove with how often they interact and share and things like that. Others, it's like set it and forget it, and then the partner doesn't care. What does that look like for you? What do you recommend there?
So it does depend. Sorry.
I gave you permission. That's fine.
But there's some factors. So as a vendor, I know, and I was on that other side for 6 years. So I knew how I had to prioritize my partners. And you have business prioritized partners, like the business tells you that they're your priority. So I know as a vendor, that depends on where we stand, obviously. But I would say the way I've done it, and grain of salt again, maybe I'll say that way too many times in this because it's just my opinion.
All
But
good answers start with the phrase, it's just my
great,
opinion. So
just my
high
opinion,
expectations here.
is you work with people you want to work with and who give you good information, who are respectful of you, respectful of your time. So that can mean a lot of things, like me being responsive when they ask me a question that's completely out of my scope, or if they say, hey, do you have content on this? Can you help me with this? Or me knowing that if I do that, X marks the spot. I'm not doing that once a week because they've got 50 other vendors. So you have to create a balance. Like that's the number one thing. Can you create a partner newsletter for us? Sure, I'm happy to do that. But do you know how many partner newsletters are hitting that person's inbox every week? And do you know how quickly they are probably hitting delete? But if they get a personal message from their partner manager who they know and they have a relationship with, you're going to get more feedback. And as long as it's customized to them, it shouldn't be like, expel announced, we have this. Like, it needs to be, this is what should matter to you, and I want to make sure you have this. It needs to be a personalized approach. So I think it absolutely depends. If you're a giant company, you're probably not going to get as personalized, and that's just natural. It's probably a scheduled cadence. But I think that's the power to kind of vendors that are expel size, is that we can have that personalized approach.
I love that. I love that. That makes a lot of sense. All right. We are close to running out of time. So
Okay.
one final question when it comes to everything. From your experience, your opinion, obviously every industry is going to be different. Again, permission once more. Is there a file type, case study, white paper, presentation, fact sheet, sales sheet, battle card that you feel like partners tend to use the most and want the most? Is there anything you've seen throughout your career where you're like, if I can only create one piece of content that was really good for my partners that they would actually use, it would be this? Anything there?
Oh, yes. So I have two.
Okay. You can
Because
cheat and answer two instead of one.
not
That's fine.
I'm just breaking rules. It's fine. There are two because not everyone has one of them. One that I would say is top is a sales guide. Give me a one pager so I know discovery questions, I know your elevator pitch, I know the common objection handling. Not that you're always, it just depends on the relationship if a partner is selling on your behalf or not. But whether they are or not, that gets them started and they can go further talking to the partner manager or to the AE, whatever it may be, or including them on the call, which they typically do. That's something everyone should have. And that's where I say, like, holding up in the cubicle, typical thing where you're on the phone, here's some questions you can ask. The other one is the one that less people have. And it's not because they don't have it internally, they don't have it externally facing. And it's always complicated. It's been complicated everywhere I've been. And that's competitive battle cards. That is the number one requested item from partners. And it's not, this vendor's terrible because of this. It's educated information about it. And where I think I've seen the most positive, come out of those versus never share these out. Where, guess what? Anything you put in your partner portal can go to anybody. Doesn't matter. So you want to make sure that information can be shared. So you have to make sure it's factual, it's backed up, and it's not scathing against your competitor. It's not, if they got it, they wouldn't say, let me sue this guy. Like, there's a problem here. It's just facts that you can find as public information. But that is number one requested item that I hear from partners.
I love it. I love it. Well, Caitlin, I have learned so much. I love your approach to partner marketing and how you use your content. This is super helpful. If anyone wants to reach out and continue the conversation online, how and where can they find you?
Yeah, they can find me on LinkedIn, Caitlin Waite. You can probably find me at Expel. It's not so hard, but LinkedIn's the best spot. Try to share some stuff, ping me. I'm happy to help. So
I love it. Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, Caitlin, again, thank you so much for the time and insights today.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Content Amplified podcast. Please subscribe and leave us a review. And for additional ways to get more out of your content, visit our website at getmasset.com. That's getmasset.com. And tune in next time to the Content Amplified podcast.